mommy, community in action. But oh my, let us down to that. Look, daddy, there's a book for me too. But oh my, let us down to that. Creative, affirming, and culture for me too. Look, granny, and let us down to that. Look, granny, and let us down to that. Look, granny, and let us down to that. Learning, exploring my history, you see. Look, mommy, and let us down to that. We confident, we practice and develop fluency. Look, daddy, and let us down to that. Families, they bond and they representing me. Look, granny, and let us down to that. Look, auntie, and let us down to that. Nice, I see, and let us down to that.
So reliable, culturally relevant. Sit back and listen to the wisdom while we represent. So reliable, culturally relevant. Readers to leaders, they hold it down where they have to sit. So reliable, culturally relevant. Sit back and listen to the wisdom while you represent. So reliable, culturally relevant. Readers to leaders, they hold it down, yeah, they have to sit.
Look, mommy, community in action. Well, oh my, let us down to that. Look, daddy, there's a book for me too. Well, oh my, let us down to that. Creative, affirming, culture for me too. Look, granny, let us down to that.
Greetings, Virtual Village family. How are you all doing this evening? I hope everybody is doing well. I see our pumpkin Shania is here with that wonderful greeting that we always look forward to seeing. She's wishing everyone a good evening, and good evening to you, Precious. So glad that you are here. And I have my wonderful co-host here with me as well, Mr. Rodney Jordan, the man around town, the man around the area doing positive things, impactful things. So how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing fine. Ask for my grandmother's forgiveness for me having this hat on in the house. I was out running around precinct to precinct and poll to poll, so I came in and just didn't get a chance to, prep for the show. But I think, supporting Black colleges is all right for Cover Communities in Action and the Virtual Village Show.
I think Grandma would approve. I think that's a hat worn inside with intent. So. Yes. With intention. So we like that. I think she would approve. Yes. Yeah. So it is election night. Interesting. We are broadcasting here on election night, and we are glad that the Virtual Village family is tuned in for us tonight. We do have a wonderful show with a great guest tonight, the story time that you guys are looking forward to, and then we get to dive into that conversation. So we'll be talking about some things around Black children and education during this pandemic, probably jump on some things about the election, the social political climate a little bit. And if you guys have anything as usual that you want to chime in, it's community connection night. So come on and get that literacy, culture, community, love connection going. So y'all type your questions, comments, concerns in there as well. It's a family affair, right?
That's right.
Yes. So I'm going to ask that you guys bear with me throughout the show tonight, because my sinuses are, my allergies, sinuses, everything, they're just like, they are going in. So bear with me if I have to take a sneeze break. But otherwise, it is on and popping, excited to be here. So before we really get things moving, was there anything that you wanted to say to our villagers tonight, Brian?
Yeah, I was going to say something to you. I like your Shirley Chisholm shirt. So very fitting for the day.
Thank you. Yes. I'm enjoying it as well.
I do have one thing to say just on that election theme. So it's 7:00 Eastern time here in Virginia, and our polls are closing. But for our virtual villagers that are in Central Time Zone and Pacific Time Zones, or where you may be, where your polls may have another hour or so till closing, please get out to vote. If you haven't already voted by mail, if you haven't already done that thing, you still got time. Get out to vote. The vote is important. So I just want to encourage everybody, go cast that vote and come back and catch the rest of the Virtual Village Show.
All right, Mr. Jordan has spoken. And on that note, we are going to keep this train moving, and it's going to be a wonderful ride tonight. So y'all stay tuned, because it's time for us to affirm how wonderful we are. All right.
Greetings, virtual villagers. My name is Shania, and do you know what time it is? It's affirmation time! Time to remind ourselves how great we are. So everybody, repeat after me. I am smart. I have purpose. I am confident. I am valuable. My voice is worthy of being heard. I am an asset to my family, school, and community. I respect myself and I respect others. I am beautifully made inside and out. I love my beautiful hair and I love my beautiful brown skin. I am more than enough. Great job, virtual villagers. Can I get a virtual high five? Great job. And always remember how fantastic you are.
Greetings, virtual villagers. I'm Makai, and today's quote is from Toni Morrison. Books are a form of political action. Books are knowledge. Books are reflection. Books change your mind.
Good morning, students!
Professor Ramona and I are going to be working on fractions today.
Encuentra el país.
Alas, poor Yorick. I knew him.
Excuse me.
Ay, de nuevo.
Teachers are doing whatever it takes to connect with their students.
202.
And Cox is too, by connecting over 140,000 eligible students in need with low-cost internet.
Who wants to see it again?
With the Connect to Compete program from Cox.
All right. So as usual, look, my allergies and everything are going away because I just feel so great about who I am and how powerful and that my voice is worthy of being heard. It's like I can't even be sick right now.
Yes, you affirmed it away.
I affirmed it away. Shania just, put that all through my system and I feel great now. I feel like I could sing opera. I'm in tip-top shape. Yes. So this is wonderful. And then of course Makai comes through with that quote. I just love it, love it, love it. These beautiful brown children are doing it. They are doing a great job. And we're so proud of them because some of them had experience in front of the camera before. You see Shania belting that affirmation out like that. And then some of them volunteered to do this and they had never been in front of the camera before. So it was an adventure for them, something that they knew they were doing that was outside of their comfort zone, but they did it for the community. And we love that. And we are so proud of that. We're so proud of all of them. And so now it is time. Look, we have a wonderful community connector / village reader tonight coming from Atlanta, Georgia, one of my frequent stomping grounds, and who is a friend of mine from my hometown, and is also an educator, still a young man, but a veteran in his in regards to what he does with our children. So we want to bring on the dynamic, one and only, never duplicated, Mr. Jermain Hundley.
All right.
How you doing, Brother Hundley? How's everything going?
Good evening, Clever Communities. It's good to be here. I'm doing fine. Thanks for having me here tonight.
Always. It is our pleasure. I get to share the screen with two brothers who are actively involved. Somebody is representing.
Hey.
Let me see it one more time. Let me see it one more again.
One more again.
Literacy, culture, community, and love. That's Virtual Village family. That's Virtual Village love right there, y'all. We love to see that. That is awesome. We appreciate you representing on your night that you're coming out here to read with us. So look, what book are you going to read tonight?
Tonight I'm going to be reading When the Beat Was Born, DJ Kool Herc and the Creation of Hip Hop. See if I can get that.
And you don't stop. Well, we are all ready for that. So look, you guys who are tuned in, we are glad that you are here. And Mr. Hundley is going to read. But after he reads, we'll talk about the book a little bit, but then we are going to find out more about what is going on with this Black man and his experience as a teacher, an elementary school teacher at that. How long he's been doing it, how it's been changed due to COVID-19, and just all the wonderful things that he has to offer. So we're gonna enjoy this story. So you guys hold tight for that. Enjoy these words, and then we'll be right back for more discussion. All right.
All right. Once again, I am reading When the Beat Was Born, DJ Kool Herc and the Creation of Hip Hop. To all my hip hoppers out there, hopefully you enjoy this story. Clive loved music. It didn't matter what kind, whether it was a wah-wah scat of a jiving trumpet, a sorrowful twang of sad voice, or the belting boom of a gospel singer. Little Clive loved the way sound thumped and bumped all the way down in his stomach. He loved the way the music made his feet go hip, hip, hop, hippity hop. Little Clive lived in Kingston, Jamaica. His hero was a DJ named King George, who threw the biggest and baddest house parties in the neighborhood of Somerset Lane. On Saturday nights, everybody who was somebody made their way to Somerset Lane for King George's hot dance parties. Little Clive was too young to go to the parties, so he went to the house when King George and his friends were setting up during the day. They had arrived pushing a big old handcart stacked with crates of records. Clive had never seen so many records. He imagined himself as a DJ, surrounded by all of those records, choosing just the right song to get the party jamming. He saw himself toasting like a DJ, talking and singing over the instrumental B-sides of the records. Clive dreamed of everyone's feet going hip, hip, hop, hippity hop. Little Clive really wanted to be a DJ. When little Clive was 13, he joined his mama in New York City. Clive wasn't sure he liked this new neighborhood in the Bronx. It was cold. He had to wear a silly winter hat with ear flaps, and everybody made fun of him. But Clive did find one thing besides music that made him feel like he belonged: sports. He ran track and lifted weights. He played basketball at the neighborhood playground. Soon, little Clive was no longer little. He had grown to 6'5" tall. He called himself Coolest Clyde after his favorite basketball player, Walt Clyde Frazier. But the kids on the basketball court took one look at his size and called him Hercules. Clive cut the name short to Herc and then added cool to make it just right. Kool Herc. The best part about being big was he could go with his mama to neighborhood house parties where he listened to the hottest tunes and danced like crazy. Clive loved these parties. They were just like the ones he stood outside in Somerset Lane. One day, Kool Herc's father bought a monster sound system with giant 6-foot speakers. But when he hooked up the system, instead of a really big sound coming from the speakers, a little mumbling sound trickled out. Kool Herc spent days switching wires and plugging things into other things until one day the sound was so big, not just big like Kool Herc, but big like an entire block in the Bronx. Kool Herc and his little sister Cindy rented the rec room in their housing project on Sedgwick Avenue. They hand-wrote invitations telling everybody when and where to get their groove on. They posted cards around the neighborhood. They set up their father's sound system. On the night of the party, everybody who was anybody made their way to Sedgwick Avenue for Kool Herc's hot dance party. That's when Kool Herc became DJ Kool Herc. DJ Kool Herc noticed that dancers danced crazy hard during the breaks in the song when the lyrics ended and the music bumped and thumped. Herc knew that that's what dancers wanted, so he plugged in two turntables instead of one. He put the same record on both turntables. He set it up so that when one record ended its break, he could flip over to the other turntable and play it again. Doing this over and over, he made a 10-second break last for 10, 15, even 20 minutes or more. Herc remembered the way DJs in Jamaica would chant and toast over the music. He started calling out the names of his friends during the breaks. There goes my mellow Coke LaRock in the house. There goes my mellow Clark Kent in the house. There goes my mellow Timmy Tim in the house. There goes my mellow Bambata. Everybody loved hearing his or her name called out over the music. He'd compliment people on their dance moves. He talked about the music and sent out shout-outs. He'd make up little raps like the jump rope rhymes he heard on the playground. Or he would call, "Hey, Mike on the lights," made like a strobe, and Mike would flip the light switch on and off. Over the next year, Herc took his parties to the streets and parks of the Bronx. He plugged the sound system into the lampposts. They pulled so much power that the street lights dimmed, the perfect lighting for a street party. Kool Herc's music made everybody happy. Even street gangs wanted to dance, not fight. Gangs like the Savage Skulls, the Glory Stompers, the Blue Diamonds, the Black Cats, and the Black Spades turned into breakdancing crews who performed some of the slickest moves. Herc called the coolest dancers breakdancers, or b-boys, because they loved to dance the breaks. When Herc would find a really good break, he'd shout, "B-boys, go down." Then the breakdancers would cut and jump their gymnastics. "Hey, hey, check this out. The top rock, the down rock, the windmill, the turtle, one-handed handstand freeze." Herc gathered a crew of friends to rap behind the DJing. He invited Coke LaRock, a Jamaican friend, to rap. He called him his master of ceremonies, or MC Coke. Coke knew all about toasting like Jamaican DJs. He was the first of Herc's crew of MCs called the Herculoids. Herc would introduce them with a rap. You rock and you don't stop. And this is the sounds of DJ Kool Herc. And the sound system you're listening to is what we call the Herculoids. Soon kids from all over New York City came to see DJ Kool Herc, who threw the biggest and baddest parties on Sedgwick Avenue. Africa Bambaataa, Grandmaster Flash, Jazzy Jeff, and dozens of others all wanted to be DJs just like Kool Herc. There's no story can't be told. There's no horse that can't be rode. Ain't no bull can't be stopped. And ain't a disco we can't rock. Herc, who's the man with the master plan from the land of Gracie Grace? Herc. Herc didn't just rock the block, he hippity hop into the world's heartbeat. And that is when the beat was born. DJ Kool Herc and the creation of hip hop. The end.
Great. And that was a wonderful, wonderful reading there. Great job by Mr. Hundley. Definitely enjoyed that selection.
Thank you.
So what made you decide to read when the beat was born?
You know, I had several books that I was choosing from, and I hadn't made up my mind yet. And for some reason, I was on social media this morning, and I saw that there was a debate about who started hip hop. And I said, wow, I guess that's a sign for me to read this book about DJ Kool Herc.
See, I don't want to veer too far down the path, but what was the debate?
The debate was about where hip hop first began.
Oh, they do that all the time.
And Pete Rock, he had stated that he wished that hip hop would give the Jamaican culture its credit for their role in hip hop. And then so it became a debate, you know.
Got you. Okay. Well, that's interesting. I may have to go back and try to find that one, see what was going down in that conversation, especially if you said Pete Rock.
Yeah.
It was actually some of our, icons
yes.
in the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be interesting to check out. So, definitely a fan of hip hop here, especially old school hip hop. So that was a great selection. And I think our young people need to be aware of the origins of the culture. And it's still young.
Absolutely.
But they need to be aware of that. And the debates are good. That's fine. It keeps everything alive. And some of the things may be subjective. I don't know. But, I like that. That's a favorite of ours here at Clever Communities in Action. And I like Black visuals. So, you're reading When the Beat Was Born. You got your literacy, culture, community, love shirt on. It's a virtual village family. And then a hip hop quote went through my head as you were reading. And I was like, where kinky hair go to unthought of dimensions. That's just what went through my head. Yeah. You know where that came from?
I want to say Diggable Planets.
Yes. I say that one all the time in regards to myself. So I just love, I just love the Black visuals, all of that. So our young ones, go look up Diggable Planets. Go look that up. Listen to that song, Rebirth the Slick. Yeah. Some good stuff there.
DJ Kool Herc too.
Yes, definitely look up Herc. Find out who Pete Rock is, why he's somebody who we feel like is valid to weigh in on the conversation. If y'all are listening to the track, I'm not going to give my personal thoughts and opinions on that, but we do want to be well-rounded on our culture and the origins of our culture. So we gave you Kool Herc. That's who is talked about in the book that Mr. Hundley read, When the Beat Was Born. I brought up Diggable Planets, which is definitely further down the line, but now It's old school, I guess. And then there is we said Pete Rock. Look up Pete Rock and CL Smooth and see what their contributions were. TROY. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, no doubt. So we appreciate you reading that story. It was definitely a good read. And I always like not to ever diminish the light and the value of our sisters. We know that. Okay. You see, I'm rocking Sister Chisholm on here right now. But when the brothers come on and do their thing, y'all get a lot of flack a lot of times. And they got you like, on the Lauryn Hill of miseducation when they were like, Lauryn Hill. They were like, brothers. So I'm like, when y'all are around, it's definitely a good thing, and y'all are doing your thing. So it's good to highlight that. Good to see you coming on reading the book. Yes. Rodney, did you have anything to say or ask Jermaine about Mr. Hundley about the story before we go?
Well, y'all were going. I had Last Poets going through my mind. I had James Brown going through my mind. I had George Clinton, Dr. Funkenstein going through my mind. So, I guess there are various derivatives, if you will, of the branches and roots of the tree.
Yes.
You better come on with those contributions. With those contributions. And we actually, one of our moments in history was Gil Scott Heron. So yeah, we got to mention that ancestor as well. So that's a lot of things. Shania Pumpkin, I hope you are taking notes. Some people for you to go and research. Yes. And for some of our not so little ones, y'all can go and research it too if y'all don't know who it is. And is James Brown like the most sampled in hip hop?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Most sampled man in America.
Yep.
All right. I love it. So Shania, you got some homework. It's fun though. It's fun. But look, you guys, we enjoy hearing this story from Mr. Hundley, but he is going to come back and talk to us about his experience as a Black male educator, elementary school teacher, and a host of other things. So we're going to have a quick word from our sponsors and go into some of the segments that you guys have grown to know and love. And then we'll be back to chop it up with him. So don't y'all go anywhere.
This episode of the Virtual Village Show has been brought to you by Target.
Greetings, virtual villagers. I am Jameer. I'm here to bring you today's moment in history. In 1968, Shirley Chisholm ran against 3 other Black Americans during the Democratic primary, which is the first election when each party decides what candidate will represent them in the general election for the actual office. Shirley fought hard during the campaign and even rolled through her district in a truck with loudspeakers, kind of like the ice cream trucks that come through your neighborhood. Calling herself Fighting Shirley Chisholm, she won the primary election and went on to beat the Republican candidate in the general election. In 1969, Shirley Chisholm became the first African American woman elected to Congress. She wasn't always popular with other representatives though, because she wasn't shy about telling people exactly what she thought. Shirley served on many different committees and worked tirelessly for causes like supporting daycares, education, and school lunch programs. She also helped create groups called the Congressional Black Caucus and the Congressional Women's Caucus. Chisholm broke ground again 4 years later in 1972 when she was the first major party African American candidate and the first female candidate for President of the United States. Chisholm wrote 2 books about her life, Unbought and Unbossed, 1970, and The Good Fight, 1973. She was a professor at Mount Holyoke College in South Hadley, Massachusetts from 1983 to 1987.
Greetings, virtual villagers. I'm Asia, and I'm here to inform you of today's book recommendation. Jameer told you about the fearless Miss Shirley Chisholm. If you would like to learn more about Miss Chisholm and her impact, be sure to check out Shirley Chisholm is a Verb by Veronica Chambers. You can purchase this book at your local Black-owned bookstore or visit smile.amazon.com and add Clever Communities in Action as your charity, and Amazon will donate a percentage of the price of your purchases at no cost to you.
All right, virtual villagers, we are back. And Jameer, Mr. Hundley hit us with the literacy, and Jameer hit us with the culture. And now we're getting ready to get into the community part. But I do want to say, as far as the moment in history is concerned, we definitely know that it is 2020 right now and the things that are going on in our world. But we do want to connect that bridge all the time so that everybody is aware of the things that came before this time. To know that Sister Chisholm did run for president. And as she said, unbought and unbossed. That is something that is important for us to know. When, you know, a lot of people are celebrating Kamala right now. And, you know, for the people who are proud about that it is, you know, it is what it is. But let's know about the things that came before us as well, because you don't want to be tricked into thinking that something is unfolding for the first time. So being aware of all of the accomplishments that have been made in our community. And I reiterate the fact that we chose to call that segment Moments in History instead of Moments in Black History, because we love Black history and we love all things Black. That's not the issue. But we don't want to otherize our contributions. Our contributions, our moments in history shape this country and the world. So we don't put them off to the side of the plate. We make sure that everybody understands that our contributions shape the world. All right. Amen. So with that said, we are going to get into this discussion with Jermain, Mr. Hundley. I don't know. I go back and forth with everybody with what I try to stay professional, but some of these folks are good folks that I know. I do it with our teachers, you know, like they're just good people that we bring on here that we know well. So let's see. Rodney, I'd like for you to kick this conversation off. From a school board member to an educator, what is the first thing that you would like to talk to Brother Jermain about?
His career choice. By chance, I was in a meeting yesterday with some African-American alumni from a university here in Virginia. And one of the things that they are working on is trying to recruit more African-Americans into the teaching field, and in particular, African-American young men. And Ms. Starr, I was sharing with them about Professor Q and experience that we had with him and what he was going through and some of the experiences that he had. And Jermain, that's one of our virtual village influencers who is going to be matriculating at Grambling University with the goal of becoming a history teacher. But with so much going on right now about trying to get more people of color to pursue careers in education, and particularly African-American men, and with research showing that Black teachers make a difference for all students. Can you just kind of kick it off by talking about why did you choose the education field, and are you by yourself out there? Do you see more and more African-American men pursuing that career? Just kind of talk a little bit about that choice and what you experienced as a Black male teacher.
Oh, wow. Okay. As you know, what led me to becoming an educator is something that, I guess there's a saying that says, be for those what you needed when you were younger. I'm not saying it correctly, but there were some spaces in my life in which there were some things that I needed, and I didn't always get it. So, but as I began to develop as a young man, I knew that it was an area that I could give back in. And I didn't really know that I was going to be a teacher at that point in high school, but I knew a lot of my jobs and a lot of my services were geared towards mentoring and tutoring other young people. And once I figured out my college choice, it seemed like a natural fit for me at that time. So I pursued it, and it was one of the best decisions that I ever made. One of the best decisions that I ever made. So as you mentioned about the number of Black educators within this profession, as I've been teaching this is my 22nd year of teaching, and I've taught in Birmingham and Charlotte, North Carolina, now here in Atlanta. And I'll say it, you know, the numbers don't lie, you know. It's not a great deal of, especially at the elementary level, you don't really find a great deal of black male educators. And there have been times where I've been the only one in the school. And I currently work at a school, it's a pretty nice sized population. So we have, I'm on a 4th grade team, and all of my teammates are women. I'm the only male on the team. So, you know, we are, you know, few and far between at times. So recruitment is very important. It's always good to hear young men that are going on their way to college and they want to become a teacher. I think we need more of it, and I think the numbers prove that. And then, as you mentioned earlier, studies show that students who are black, they perform better with black teachers. You know, so I believe that's very important. It's so important that I'm in the process of developing a group called the 2% Black, because 2% of black educators 2% of educators across America are men, only 2%. And so I'm in the process of developing a group that's going to do more recruiting of black male educators. So, and I also do a mentoring program called I Am King, which I mentor young black men. So, you know, that's just kind of where my path has led me. And like I said, it's a great decision for any young man that's thinking about becoming an educator. It's a great experience. It's not what the media or other people who don't have inside knowledge would tell you to believe. Whatever the goals you are pursuing, that should be on your list.
You know, that stat that you threw out is pretty powerful. I think many people don't really appreciate that 2% statistic that you threw out, and some of that same research that showed that black teachers can have a positive influence on academic outcomes of black children also show that those teachers have a positive outcomes on all teachers. So let me ask you one other question. I'm gonna turn it over to Ms. Starr. How do you feel that students receive you differently in any way because you are the only male or the only black man on the 4th grade floor or level?
Yeah, I do believe so. That throughout the history of my career, that is proven to be true. A lot of students that I teach, they don't really have a professional interaction with a black man very often. Sometimes I'm their first. And so it's a different experience, and you know, so I think it really excites them to be able to come into my classroom and get something different, because the other 5 classes that they're going to throughout the day, not to say it's the same, because they're different subject areas, but it's something totally different when they come to my class. So it's something to balance it out a little bit.
Yeah, no, I can believe that. I think in my 1st grade through 12th grade career, I think I had one black male teacher, and that was Mr. Mall in PE in junior high school.
I had a 6th grade math teacher, and I think that was pretty much it, you know. Maybe another one in high school at some point, but yeah, I didn't have too many black teachers. So, you know, I would have loved to have had a young black teacher. You know, I'm in year 22 now, but you know, when I first started teaching, I was like 23 years old. And so those students at that point, you know, they really gravitated to me because I was that new young teacher. And I came in teaching in the late 90s, you know, when it was, you know, not that the statistics have really improved much, but it was really rare for the students of Birmingham to have at 10 years old a black male teacher in the 5th grade. So yeah.
One thing I definitely remember is, while I appreciated and liked almost all of my teachers, you know, that PE teacher, he would pull you up. There was a shop teacher in junior high, he would pull you out. And our principal happened to be African American. And so just having those teachers there who are willing to pull you around the corner and kind of get you straight. Even if, I felt love from all my teachers, but I felt a different level of engagement and commitment and care from those Black teachers that were in the building, whether I had them or not.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, so Rodney, you're on the path that I was going on. We're here.
Okay.
You're asking the things that I was curious about as well. But to go a little more in depth, I guess I would ask, how do your students respond to you? Like, do you see them respond to you in a different way, perhaps than you think they may respond to other teachers? Are you seeing that you're pulling something out of them, or are they surprised, or like how do they respond to you being their teacher?
Well, they respond positively. I we just have a great rapport. I have a great rapport with my students. They typically they have respect, very early within our relationship building process. Maybe because I'm a man, but then to go a little further, the Black aspect of it, and then you add the man presence into it, and then I'm educating them, I'm teaching them new things, and then it's a fun experience. So they receive me well, and I give them respect, and they give me respect in return. And so I always try and lead in that way in which I initiate the respect. I initiate respect to them so that they know that they're wanted in my classroom.
Yes, I agree. That's so important. My experience is not being in a school classroom, but I've been working with our children for a long time, and I find that when I'm in spaces in which I'm the only Black person, and I'm the one who primarily is working with our children, but they're around other people. People look shocked at the response that I'm getting from them versus the response that other people are getting from them. And I'm like, it's what you said. The respect is there, the genuine concern, having value, seeing the value in our children up front and letting them know that up front. And just like with any human being, when someone realizes that, then they're going to have a positive response to you. They're going to, and our children are so, once they see that you care about them, I find that they don't want to disappoint you a lot of times. So, and just being very careful with that and being appreciative as an adult of that, of earning that trust from the children. Do you get to have a good rapport with any of the parents? Because I tried. I always try, and my situation may be a little different, but to get out in the neighborhoods where I've been working, or at least on phone calls and everything. And so even bringing parents into the fold. Do you have the opportunity to do that?
Yeah, I do have that opportunity. We it's always and especially when I teach, I teach in Atlanta public schools, so you've been there, what kind of school district that is. And so we at the beginning of the school year, we always try and make a tremendous effort to go into those communities. And we even take field trips. We go on field trips with parents and so yeah, I've definitely had a good career of building relationships with parents. So, and I still keep in touch with several of them today. So my teaching experience has been more of just a continuous relationship building process with parents and students and other members of the community.
Excellent. That is so important. And I know it can come with its challenges at times, but the fact that you make the effort is tremendously important. And then, like you said, being able to sustain those relationships. So how has COVID, the pandemic, the school shutdown, all of these things, what is going on with your teaching situation, your school right now? And how has that affected you? And how has that affected your students?
Well, I know that for me, it is added to my repertoire, of teaching. It's only enhanced and extended my career. Um, I've learned new skills as far as operating live on a computer every day and learning how to make the classroom engaging, even though we're not in the same physical space. That's something difficult to do. That was the biggest challenge, coming up with ideas, because we're not in the same space. You have to make sure that it's an equitable process, that all students have access to the same type of materials. If I want to build something, we actually build things in my classroom, and so it has to be a process in which, and this is what we like to use the theme of voice and choice, in which there are a plethora of different choices that the students can have access to when it comes to the engagement process of the class. So, that was the biggest challenge as we shifted from the physical space to the virtual space. Is that making sure? Okay, can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so making sure that the classroom environment was engaging, so that because students have a choice to turn that camera off, and not be reprimanded at that point, so if it's engaging, the students are more likely to spend their time with you. And so I try and honor that. I try and honor that time that we have by making it engaging, and not just me standing in front of a camera and talking all day. So I missed the other question. What was the other part?
How has it affected you, and how do you feel it has affected your students?
Okay, all right. Well, for me, I think I shared that already. But for the students, I think most of the students are in a good space mentally, emotionally, when it comes to the classroom environment. I think they do suffer a little bit because they don't have the opportunity to be social. I think that's the driving factor that's causing. I do receive emails from parents sometimes, and they mention that they are watching their children suffer from depression a little bit from being in a virtual space. So we do have to offer them screen breaks. We teach from 8 a.m. until 3 o'clock. So it's a normal school day, and they have to have breaks. Everyone needs a break from these screens. I need a break from the screen. But so yes, we do have these occasions where students are, dealing with some depression with the lack of interacting physically in a physical environment with other children their age. So yeah, it can be a challenging task. Here we are in November. My school, we started at the end of July, so we've been going for a while now, and we haven't had any breaks. We had maybe Labor Day, and I think today the students were out for Election Day, maybe one other day, but we haven't had any extended breaks. And
wow.
so we've been in this virtual space for a long time now, and this goes back prior to the towards the end of the last school year. It's a new normal for everyone, and so everyone is learning how to deal with this as we go.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said what you said about the social emotional part.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's an underreported story. As Star mentioned, I'm on the school board. I get emails from parents all the time saying the same thing, concerns about their children, phone calls. I have parents call me breaking down crying because that they are watching, in many instances, their children either struggle with the technology or just struggle with the isolation, not being able to, see Mr. Jermain in the classroom and get a hug, and being able to interact and engage with their peers. So I think you raise a very important point that I hope that the villagers will really understand and give support to our students, to our parents, and also to our teachers. There is a lot of depression going on, a lot of isolation, and a lot of struggles. And I know for many conversations around the country, school divisions are trying to figure out how to deal with the emotional needs first. We know we're concerned about the academics and whether or not children are getting ahead or whether or not they're falling behind. But over and over again, that social emotional need is a big deal, and I'm really glad that you brought that up.
Yeah, at the end of the day, we are human, and we have that need. We do have that need to interact with other people.
So
definitely. And I just want to reiterate, because Rodney, I know you're about to jump in with something great. Jermain said that he is teaching. He teaches in Atlanta public schools. So you guys know that means are your students like 100% Black or 99%?
My school is like 90% Black. We have some other ethnicities that are part of our school population.
So I think a lot of times it gets overlooked that these things go on with Black children too. As the community gets to have a better understanding around or acceptance, and or more conversations around mental health and awareness of that. I think a lot of times it's, well, Black children don't deal with this, or Black people we don't. But you're talking about your school is 90% Black, so having an understanding in this community that this affects our children as well, from all socioeconomic backgrounds. So it is very important. And although like you said, Rodney and Jermaine, everybody's trying to figure it out. But what I would say is we are a virtual village. And for everybody who is a part of your immediate village, you have community children, you have grandchildren, you got nieces and nephews. So even nothing replaces touch, nothing can, or being in close proximity, but doing some more, as I say, guerrilla love tactics. So making sure that those children, that we are reaching out to them in the video calls, in the phone calls, and just giving them the love and the virtual hugs. And I'm thinking of you, you matter, playing Shania's affirmation for them. Those things never can happen too much. So remember that they are feeling, a lot of them, that loneliness and isolation. So the best ways that we can fill in that void, I don't think we can overly show love to our children. So just keep that in mind. And even if it feels uncomfortable sometimes, and if you got some neighborhood kids, if you got to shout out to them, hey, your neighbor loves you, Miss Johnson loves you, I'm thinking about you, hope your babies are doing well. Do it. It's an easy task.
We tried something, because our students had never met in person before. This past Sunday, we created this opportunity for any of the students that wanted to come for a socially distanced meet and greet at a park. That was the first time that they had all had an opportunity to meet each other this school year. So we had a socially distanced, just a little socially distanced meet and greet with masks on at Piedmont Park.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
That's great. Yeah, I love that. That's so needed. That's awesome. Rodney, I know you had something that you were about
Since I have you here before we end, I just wanted to ask you a question about being a male teacher and obviously haven't had the opportunity to watch other males either go into the profession or lead the profession. What's one or two things that you would say have been important to you or you feel are important to male teachers that either encourage individuals to go into teaching, or if they're into teaching, stay in the profession? Is there one or two things that's kind of unique as a male teacher that you think retains you, or in some cases may drive you out of the profession?
I'll say I've probably, earlier in my career, maybe the first year or two, as I was trying to find my way, those are the most difficult years. If you'll commit to, say, I like to see male teachers commit to at least 3 years before you decide that you're giving up on the profession. Once you get through those first 3 years, you kind of have an idea of how the how teaching, how the industry works. And then you can begin to find yourself a little bit more and contribute the things that you want to do. Because in education, you have access to, not only students, but you have access to all these other different professions and people that you will meet along the way that can really help you to reach whatever goals you want. It's not it's bigger than those four walls. And so if you can see beyond the struggles of learning, of being a first year teacher, or being a struggling teacher the first 2 or 3 years, your career will be very rewarding in ways, and people that you meet along the way, opportunities that you'll find that you never knew existed. Because who tells you that as a teacher that there are other opportunities that you'll receive that may not even look like teaching, that may not have anything to do with teaching, but you interact with so many people in the community that I've met so many people that that people would consider celebrities, that will put you in different positions, that you can open up some doors. And being that I'm only 2% of this industry, we are often the ones that are sought out, because we're such a small part that people want to communicate with the male teacher, the Black male teacher. So, if you can get past those first couple of years where you're kind of struggling, and it is a struggle, but you can get past that and begin to find your way and really give yourself to this field, and you'll really get more out of it than you expected.
Thank you for sharing that. Appreciate that.
Yeah, that's important. When you come, stick it out. And I think we got to enter into things with that mentality anyway. It takes a little bit of time to figure out the terrain and what's right for you and all of that. So that's great advice. And I got one more question I want to ask you. I know we're winding down on time, but I got one more question. If you could share what has been, or whether it's one thing or a culmination of a few things, some of the most rewarding experience that you have had as being a teacher, a Black male elementary school teacher.
What's rewarding to me is always the completion of a school year, in which you've poured so much into students throughout the course of the school year. And then when we get to those last days, always seeing those kids crying and all that kind of stuff, that's always very rewarding to me. Because when you're going through a school year, it's really hard work. It's some heavy lifting, trying to fill in deficits and gaps and differentiate learning and all those kind of things, staying up late at night, lesson planning and grading papers. When you get to the finish line, and you're getting ready to release those students into the next phase of their lives, it's a very rewarding experience. But I was thinking back, I was going for a little run the other day, and it dawned on me, I once had as a 5th grade teacher at this point, I once had a group of students sing. I think they were like kindergarten, 1st grade students. I was receiving an award, and these students, they came to me, maybe about 10 students, and they sung a song by Nas. They serenaded me with a song by Nas called "I Know I Can," and that almost broke me down to tears right there, because I didn't teach these kids, but they were serenading me because of the ceremony that we were in, and that was very heartfelt to me.
Wow. And you've been in the game long enough to have some of your former students be adults now. Have you been able to reconnect with any of them?
Oh yeah, they some of my students, they have followed me throughout my entire career. My first group of students that I taught in Birmingham, they made sure that they followed me throughout my career, and I've been to weddings and all of that good stuff. And I'm very close with my students. So it's a lifelong journey. We just in it together. So we communicate on social media. I'm on Instagram, so we communicate through that medium sometimes.
That's excellent. Well, we definitely appreciate you sharing your journey. Well, coming on to read and then sharing your journey, your past and current experiences as a Black male elementary school teacher. And I don't know if we mentioned what subject?
I teach science and math.
All right. Yes. So we appreciate you sharing this with our virtual village family. You know that I don't have to initiate you. You are in the literacy game. You're rocking the paraphernalia. So gang. And we appreciate what you are doing for our young people and for how long you have been doing it, the commitment, the dedication. We love what you're talking about with the 2% project. And I'm going to ask that you hang around for a minute because I think Mr. Rodney and I have a few things that we would like to ask you after we wrap this up. But thank you so much for your time again. We appreciate you every time you come. And Rodney, was there anything that you want, any parting words that you have for Jermain?
I just want to say thank you and just kind of reiterate what Brother Jermain said, those first 3 years. And as parents, as community members, as you heard him say, we can provide that support that makes the difference as to whether a Jermain chooses to stay or leave. So I don't want to lose sight of that as well, the role we can play as a village in supporting teachers like Jermain.
Yes, definitely. Building them up and supporting them. I agree. So, all right then. Well, thanks so much again, Jermain. As always, it's a pleasure having you up here. And we look forward to having you back soon, all right?
Yes, thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate you.
All right. So that was great. We definitely enjoyed that conversation. It's definitely worthy of having. As Jermain pointed out, 2% of teachers are Black male teachers. We definitely have some work cut out in front of us to make those numbers rise. And like you said, Rodney, it is our job to, as a community, we can help ourselves bring that number up. So I think it's been a great night. Shania kicks it off. And look, we didn't even get into the election.
That's right.
The conversation was so important and valuable that we didn't even talk about that stuff.
Yes.
Everybody's going to be clued in on that. I know soon enough. So yeah, this was great. It was invigorating, as always, informative. We appreciate our villagers who are tuned in right now. Dr. Quarles throwing the questions in. Panda Nation, Shania, all of our regular villagers who are here participating and those who are just watching us. Listen, you guys, do us a favor and make sure you click that share button right now so that people can know about this program, all right? Don't just keep us hidden, all right? Click the share button and also make sure that you tell 2 people you know. Say, hey, I'm a part of this family. I'm a part of this literacy game, this virtual village family. You guys need to check it out on Clever Communities in Action on Facebook or YouTube. So please commit to sharing and telling 2 people, all right? So, Mr. Jordan, you gonna take us out this evening?
Sure. Once again, I want to thank everybody for coming up tonight. Like you said, give us all a share. Look for more exciting things to come. And if you want to be a reader, don't forget, you can reach out to us and we can get you involved and get you engaged and get you up here and get you the opportunity to share with our children and share with the village. So Shirley Chisholm, thank you again for another great evening.
All right. Thanks, Rodney. Y'all have a great evening, family. Peace.
Look, mommy, community in action. What on my little sound of that? Look, daddy, there's a book for me too. But on my little sound of that. Creative, affirming, and culture for me too. Look, granny, a little sound of that. Look, granny, a little sound of that. Look, granny, a little sound of that. Learning and exploring about history, you see. Look, mommy, a little sound of that. We confident, we practice and develop fluency. Look, daddy, a little sound of that. Families, they bond and they representing me. Look, granny, a little sound of that. Look, auntie, a little sound of that. Nice, I see a little sound of that.
So reliable, culturally relevant. Sit back and listen to the wisdom we represent. So reliable, culturally relevant. Readers to leaders, they hold it down where they have to sit. So reliable, culturally relevant. Sit back and listen to the wisdom we represent. So reliable, culturally relevant. Readers to leaders, they hold it down, yeah, they have a sit.
Look, mommy, community in action. Well, on my little sound of that. Look, daddy, there's a book for me too. Well, on my little sound of that. Creative, affirming, culture for me too. Look, granny, a little sound of that.